All right. Howdy, Deadwood. Welcome to this here campfire story on CrowdSec, your new favorite open source tool. I'm Klaus. I used to be the sheriff around these parts, but now I'm head of community and do a lot of talks like these. Since I retired as a sheriff, I've lived in Copenhagen, where I've been a part of the local infosec community for many years, and I've co-founded BSides København. Today, I'll talk to you about the problem of cybersecurity that is yet unsolved, because more and more companies get hacked, companies spend fortunes, and it seems a little bit like companies have gotten used to throw a lot of money into a hole and hope for the best without really even questioning it. Could we be doing this wrong? Because a good example of this is JP Morgan, who got breached, and they spend like $1 billion on security every year, and $1 billion, that's way too much for me to understand. But as I said, it doesn't effectively work. So if you think about it, we tried outpowering the bad guys, that failed. We tried outsmarting them, well, that also failed. So my point is, it's time for a new approach. So why not try outnumbering them? Yeah, because we are more. There's more of us than of the bad guys. So let's take advantage of that. And if you think of it, it makes sense, right? Because nobody wants to fight a beehive, but a bee alone, that's not so bad. But what does this mean in practice? Basically, CrowdSec is the Waze of cybersecurity. And if you don't know Waze, it's a GPS app where users share data on traffic congestion, road work, and much more, and they get an optimized route in return. Likewise, each CrowdSec agent collects data on attacks, it blocks those attacks, and shares them with everyone else. So the way CrowdSec works is that CrowdSec reads log. Then it detects threats, and it mitigates those threats. And then it sends the signals back to CrowdSec, who then will assess all the IPs, all the signals, and will share what is deemed real malevolent as block lists. CrowdSec can detect a lot of different attacks. These are just examples, like web scans, port scans, credential card stuffing, voice over IP abuse, bot scalping, layer 7D does. CrowdSec can not only do brute force attacks, although most scenarios are brute force, but that's just because they are so easy to write. In reality, CrowdSec can detect any kind of deviation that can be described in a YAML file. And as the attacks I mentioned before, the example of that. Right now, CrowdSec, we're in 176 countries. I just looked it up. And right now, we collect about 20 million signals a day. Half of that is from a new collaboration with a company called GetShield, who does WordPress security. So for the last weeks, we've been bombarded with WordPress security, WordPress attacks, at least information about them. We have around 9 to 10 million IPs in our smoke database. I'll talk about that in a little while, what that is. And out of that, we have around 21 to 22,000 IPs in the curated block list, or the fire database that's being distributed. CrowdSec is free and open source. We chose the MIT license for that. And the thing with the MIT license is that once you have made your source open, you can't close it again. So MIT means free forever. And that is by design, because we don't want a future buyer of CrowdSec to basically screw with the community that we couldn't have built CrowdSec without. So CrowdSec is a reality we're offering what we think is a fair deal. You can have free to use software and use your signals in return. Those signals can be disabled, so it's not like you really have to, but if you don't share, you won't get blocklisted. And like any other open source project. We are open to contribution. One of the first questions I usually get is around poisoning and false positives. And that is a very good question, because it is a really large concern if you're building a collaborative CGI like ours. And the way it works is that each agent that sends signals to CrowdSec start out with a trust rank of 0. And then over time, the trust rank will increase. So after 6 months of sending reliable data to CrowdSec, you will have a trust rank of 99. And that is important because whenever an IP is voted for, the consensus engine is what facilitates this. Basically, all the agents that knows a certain IP is voting for them with what response or what are voting for those IPs with their their trust rank, the value of their trust rank. So and then an IP needs to have a certain number of votes in order to be deemed malevolent. So basically, you need to have a high trust rank in order to affect the voting result. And that is by design, because we want it to be as cumbersome as possible if a bad guy or someone else wants to poison the database. And on top of that, each ASN only has 1 vote. So not only do you need to spend a lot of time to build a decent trust rate, you also need to have agents on different ASNs in order to have a chance to affect the voting process. In terms of poisoning, in terms of false positive, we have a small fleet of honeypots. They have a slightly higher trust rank, and we use the honeypot to double check or assess community signals. There's a whitelist. There are certain IPs that you just can't block. We can't block, like Google's SEO bots or Cloudflare CDN IPs or Cloudflare IPs or whatever. And another mechanism we have is a predictive algorithm that tries to that blocks IPs coming from a net block that we know are bad. At a certain point, if everything coming, if IPs from a certain net block is being blocked, if enough of those IPs are being blocked, then we'll simply assess or assume that whatever is coming from the net block will be bad, so we'll block the best in advance, basically, like think pre-crime here. And after the consensus process, data is being sent. Data from the smoke database, where the signals are being sent to the fire database, which are then the assessed IPs, and then that is being shared back to each CrowdSec agent. But enough talking. Let's do a demo time. I've recorded this in advance. Hang on, I'll just start it. Yeah, so my setup is using 2 VPSs, and the top one here is a Debian where I will be installing CrowdSec, and the bottom one is a Kali installer used for attack. We have install instructions on doc.crowdsec.net, and the first thing I'll do is to add the repo, and we do that by downloading a script from a package file. And obviously, downloading a script and executing it with sudo write is not something you want to do in a production environment. So you can install it manually, or you can install it using Ansible or something else. After the repository has been added, we'll install the agent. And when it's installing, you will see that that the CrowdSec or the install wizard will be run, and it's trying to determine which OS we're running and which services are installed, and also install support for that. Basically, support them by or protect them by default. I have Linux, MySQL, nginx, SSH server installed, and those are installed just like, or those are protected just like that.
Klaus, I hate to interrupt.
Yep.
Should we be seeing a screen share from you?
Yeah, you haven't seen a screen. You haven't seen a screen share.
We're seeing you.
Seeing me, not the screen.
Not the screen, no.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. Yes, you should. Basically, I've been talking. I've been showing slides. Hang on. I will. Yeah. I will share the screen here. Yeah. All right. That is. Yeah. It's better now, right?
Fantastic.
All right. Yeah. Well, better late than never. Yeah. Basically, as I said before, the CrowdSec agent will be installed shortly. Hang on. Here it is. Yeah. And the install wizard will be run as I said. Linux is running Linux. MySQL, nginx, SSHD is being auto-detected and protected by default. Yeah. So first I'll tail the CrowdSec the agent log, where we will see what's going on, because I'll start attacking it with Nikto from the Kali Linux, and you will see right away that IPs or that my IP is being detected and banned. And I'll also show the list of active decisions, so you can actually see that yes, we have made a decision and banned the IP. But the way it works is like it's a CrowdSec without the agent doesn't block anything. So to block anything, we need to install a bouncer, and we haven't installed that yet. And also to test it, I will need to send traffic through the Kali and connect to the Kali, and the Kali will then forward traffic to the other machine using SSH and SSH channel. Otherwise, it won't show that we are banned. Yeah, we're starting the tunnel now, and as I said, we will be installing the bouncer for nginx to show how that looks. But first, I want to verify that the SSH channel works as it should. So what we're seeing now is the nginx server on my other box via the Kali Linux, basically. So I'll install the nginx bouncer on my CrowdSec server, and then in the meantime, I'll show what's going on the hub, where there are a number of different bouncers like AWS buff bouncer, blocklist mirror for firewall appliances, Cloudflare bouncer, Express.js, Fastly, HA proxy. Is there, and a few more. The next page, we have an nginx bouncer, PHP, traffic. The traffic bouncer it's actually made by the community, so that is pretty cool. In the meantime, the bouncer is installed, and yeah, in a little while, yeah, you can see now that the bouncer is in effect, and we have blocked attack using CrowdSec, and that's cool because it works. The next thing we'll do is to show that CrowdSec can detect port scans. So first of all, we'll tail the kernel lock where port scans are locked or drop connections are locked, just to make sure that it works, and it does, it seems. And then we'll port scan to make sure that yes, that works like it should. And the way CrowdSec works in this sense is that we have a collection, as we call it, for IP tables, where there's a log parser that parses the log, and the scenario that basically says that if 15 drop connections in 5 seconds has occurred, then the scenario will trigger, and whoever does this will be banned or blocked. But first I have to install it, and I'll show you how that is done. Yes. Install the collection. And the reloading CrowdSec. And then I'll do the port scan again to show you that, yeah, CrowdSec is detecting the port scan now. And yeah, we are banned now on that IP. So that's cool. Yeah. So having an empty CrowdSec is a little bit boring. So there is an option to load an old log, and this is a really big log file. So what you see here is not the accurate time. I think it took half an hour to load that big file. But the way it works is that you give CrowdSec an old log file. It's a cool option for doing forensics, for instance. And yeah, showing you it basically you're spinning up a second instance of CrowdSec, a separate instance, and tell it which file to look at, what type it is, and not spin up an extra API, just ingest the logs. And it starts doing that now. For each line is an attack that it sees in the log file. And it loads those attacks into the database. And then for visualization, there is a number of possibilities. We can use Metabase as I'll show you here. CrowdSec can spin up a Prometheus endpoint, and you can use Grafana and stuff like that. Or you can use the SaaS solution that we have that's free to use on app.crowdsec.net. The CrowdSec agent is able to download a Metabase Docker container, which is what I did now. After downloading it, it will give you the login or the credentials that's being used that you should use to log on. And I'll show that now. It is, yeah. So what we'll see here is the main dashboard, and the IP starting with 3. That's the IP that I used. And in the meantime, another IP has been tagging us because that's the internet. And if I remove the previous month filter, you will see the old doc that I loaded. They're from 2019, so there's like a ton of attacks there. Yeah, and you can see like which attacks were attacked, which CDNs they were at. So yeah, and this is the list of active decisions. So the demo was about, that was the demo, and I hope you got got an idea out of what CrowdSec is. Thanks for attention. If you want to contact us on Twitter, we are on crowd_security. You will also join our friendly Discord community. If you just scan the QR code, you will get directly to it. And I promise it is for Discord. It's not a rickroll or anything. We also have workshops on CrowdSec there every 2 weeks or so. You can also send me an email. And if you like us, like cool stickers, we have a treat lined up for you, because I hooked up with my deputy sticker fairy there, also called Jason Blanchard, and he's promised to hand out stickers on our behalf. We have all those nice designs that I have on the slide here. I even created a special one for Wild-Based Hacking Fest, and I hope you will enjoy it. And yeah, that was all for me. Well, thanks for your time. Have a nice conference. I would really, really wish I was there, but unfortunately I couldn't.